Hi, I'm Pete Macreadie and I work in marine science. I'm a professor at RMIT University where I'm the director of the Centre for Nature Positive Solutions and also the director of the Blue Carbon Lab. Over the years, I've had loads of people ask me, what is marine science? How do I get into it? And is it actually a good career? And lately, a lot of those questions have come from high school students. I also have a 16-year-old daughter, so I get it. These are really big decisions, big questions, and they can feel pretty overwhelming. So this video is mainly for high school level students. And just so you know, everything I say here is based on my own journey. These are my experiences, my reflections, and where I'm at in my career. Your path might look totally different, and that is completely fine. So the first question, what is marine science and what do marine scientists actually do? Now, a lot of people say, I want to be a marine biologist, which is great. But marine biology is really just a very thin slice of a much bigger pie. Marine science also, well, in addition to biology, sure, it includes chemistry, physics, geology, oceanography, economics, the whole lot. In my team, for example, we work on blue carbon, coastal restoration, climate policy, environmental markets. It's all about understanding how oceans and coasts support life on Earth. Oceans give us more than half the oxygen we breathe. They feed billions of people. They regulate the climate. They store carbon. And when you realize a lot of that, it's some of the biggest stuff there is here on this planet. So yeah, marine science isn't just about dolphins and turtles, though we love those too. It's also about how we can better manage our coastal ecosystems for a more sustainable future. How did I get into marine science? Well, as a kid, I always thought the oceans were magical. I also found them quite terrifying. Nothing humbles me more than the oceans. Um, when I looked at adults as I was growing up, going to work every day, I remember thinking, I really don't want to be an adult. It just seems so boring. Going to work every day, you hardly get any holidays. But I thought, well, if I have to be an adult, and it doesn't seem like I've got much choice, I wanted to be doing something that actually made me feel alive. And for me, that was the oceans. So I studied science at the University of Melbourne. I intended to major in marine biology, but somehow I ended up drifting into biogeochemistry and molecular biology. I ended up majoring in those subjects, not by design. I actually never majored in marine biology. This is sort of more curiosity and maybe circumstance as well. In any case, when I finished my degree, I got a job at CSIRO. It was actually my father's lab doing research on things like drug development and Alzheimer's disease. I had an absolute blast working with my dad over those years. But I kept feeling like I'd wandered off the path that I intended to be on. Now, that was in my early 20s that I came to that realization, and I came to that realization even more so. A lot of my friends were traveling overseas, and I got cancer. I was sitting in a chemo chair, wondering if I'd ever finished what I'd started. Now, coming near to death, that sort of thing really strips life back to its essentials. And so I decided, well, if I'm going to pull through this, I want to get back to what I wanted to do, which is the ocean. So I returned to uni. I did honours degree in marine science, which stretched much longer than it should have because of all the chemotherapy and radiotherapy. And then I went on to do a PhD in marine ecology. All up, that was about 7 years of study. But I would say that the honours and PhD years were really different. You've got your own project. It doesn't feel like studying anymore. And I'm not particularly big on studying. I like to sort of be sinking my teeth into something. So even though it's 7 years, it's probably not 7 years like what you're used to if you're studying in high school. No exams, no tests, that sort of thing. Next question. What's your day job actually like? Well, it's changed a lot over time. So in the early days, I did heaps of field work, boats, snorkeling, lab work, writing papers, great fun. I still get out occasionally, not as much as probably what I want. These days, I spend a lot more time talking with governments, philanthropists, collaborators, working a lot on strategy, coming up with new ideas. I still get to travel and work. I've had some of the most amazing travel experiences. My family and I have been all over the world, thanks to a career in marine science. Nowadays, 1 week I could be out with the team, coring on country with traditional owners. Another week I could be in my home office or in my RMIT office working on a grant application about ocean alkalinity enhancement. So it's this really weird and wonderful mix. You're constantly switching between science, people, and ideas. But for me, what's important is always staying grounded in the bigger picture, asking myself and our team asking ourselves, what's the most meaningful contribution we can make to our short time here on the planet? Next question, what advice would you give to someone considering this career? Well, advice is tricky because it really depends on who you are. But if you're in your early years, I reckon it's about exploring, having fun, figuring out what energizes you. People often say follow your passion, but I think it's also about figuring out what you're good at and what someone will pay you to do. Imagine like a Venn diagram. You've got what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and what someone will pay you to do. And if you can find yourself in the middle of that sweet spot, well, you're really cooking. That's a great spot to be. So the next question is, are there jobs in marine science? Well, yeah, of course there are jobs in marine science. I think the real question is probably whether you're willing to put in the effort to get one of those jobs. This isn't one of those careers that you stumble into. It takes training and heaps of dedication. Most people do, as I said, the degree in science, then they do an honours or a master's and often a PhD. It's a fairly long road. And it's also quite competitive as well. But the demand is growing, thanks to probably some unfortunate things like climate change, biodiversity loss. There's a lot of restoration and conservation to be done. These are huge expanding fields. In my group alone, so the Centre for Nature Positive Solutions at RMIT and Blue Carbon Lab, we have ecologists, economists, modelers, spatial scientists, microbiologists. It's really broad. And so if marine science excites you, there's possibly multiple things that could bring you into that field. But buckle up, because it's no stroll on the beach. You have to learn to swim with the sharks, not just in the water, but I mean, with the ideas, the politics, the funding, a lot of persistence required. It can be pretty tough. But if you can bring something fresh to the table, a blend of skills, a way of thinking that helps solve the problems that others might shy away from, you'll find a spot for you. And once you do, you might just land yourself in that rare sweet spot I mentioned, where someone's paying you to do what you love to do and what you're good at. Okay, next question is about subjects. It's a good one, actually. What subjects did you take in high school? Well, when I did VCE, it was in Victoria, Australia, Melbourne. I did, in Year 12, English, maths methods, specialist maths, physics, and chemistry. Now, out of all those subjects, the only one I've really found to be useful probably is English, because there's so much need for communication in science. It's massive in this field. Writing, speaking, explaining ideas. I think if you can do that well, you're already well ahead. If I had my time again, I probably would have picked more subjects I actually enjoyed, because it's just more fun if you're enjoying as you go during the learning experience. That said, I chose some subjects because they were prerequisites to my degree, which was the Bachelor of Science. Okay, all right. I think that's a bit of a snapshot of marine science and my journey in it. I hope that helps if you're thinking about careers or wondering what a job in marine science really looks like. And like I said, it can vary a lot from person to person. And there's no one way to get into this field. Everybody's path is different. But if you care for nature, you love the oceans, and you want to do something that matters, then maybe this is the path for you. And whatever the case, I wish you all the best.